Hello everyone, my name is Lahaina. I'm an immigration attorney and a senior associate out of Ashoori Law. We are based in Los Angeles, California. I wanted to talk to you all today about naturalization. What is naturalization? It's the process of becoming a U.S. citizen from being a legal permanent resident. If you were born in the United States, you're not naturalized, you're born a citizen. But for others who are permanent residents or green card holders, in order to become citizens, they must naturalize. So let's first discuss the naturalization requirements. Point 1 on the infographic. You must be at least 18 years old in order to qualify for naturalization. Here it says you have to be at least 18 the time you submit the N-400. The N-400 is the application that you submit with USCIS in order to commence your citizenship process. I'm going to go to USCIS's website later on in the video and I'll show you a little bit about the N-400 and some helpful tips when filing it. Number 2, you must be a permanent resident and have had your green card for at least 5 years. There is an exception to this rule. If you obtained your green card, which many individuals do, through marriage from a U.S. citizen, then you can actually naturalize early. You can do it in 3 years. The next point of the infographic is that you must have lived at least 3 months in the state or USCIS district in which you are applying in. So this would be, for example, I'm in California. I need to live in California for the last 3 months before I submit my N-400. If I'm in a state that doesn't have a USCIS office or their offices are really far away, so maybe I'm in a rural part of Montana, I can maybe perhaps apply to a neighboring state of USCIS and fall under their USCIS's district. The next point is number 4. You must demonstrate continuous residence in the United States for at least 5 years immediately preceding the date of filing. So what's continuous residence? Continuous residence is that you live here, that you have a house, you have a job here, this is your home. If you are traveling frequently for work, you still could have continuous residence. Note that if you are absent outside the U.S. for at least 6 months, with some exceptions, for instance, military service, then this would disrupt continuous residence. So like I said, there are some exceptions to the disruption. If you are serving the U.S. military, then that would not disqualify you from meeting the continuous residence requirement. You must show that you've been physically present in the U.S. for at least 30 months of the 5 years immediately preceding the filing of the N-400. So 30 months, that's half the time. So you can have a continuous residence, but like I said, you may not be physically inside the United States that entire time. That's okay. You can travel, you can go ahead and work at your job that may be based out of Sri Lanka, whatever it is, but you just have to make sure that of the preceding 5 years, you not only maintained your residence here in the United States, but you also were physically present along with maintaining that residence here. So the rules are adjusted if you're applying for naturalization early based on marriage to a U.S. citizenship, a U.S. citizen. So in those cases, you can go ahead and show continuous residence for 3 years, and there would be half that amount of time. So in that case, it would be half a year and a half of physical presence inside the U.S. Point 6 is you must be able to read, write, and speak basic English. We're going to post some videos in regards to some of the items that USCIS will ask during the actual interview. Here, most people are really surprised when they go to USCIS and they see the English language test. It's actually fairly straightforward. They will honestly ask you to write perhaps 4 words, a short sentence. Typically, it'll be something of a sentence that you've heard of before. You're not going to, in a spelling bee contest, sometimes it'll be like, the President of the United States is Donald Trump, or I am in the USCIS office is based out of California. It's going to be really straightforward. Again, words, basic vocabulary words that you've heard before. Point 7. Point 7 is you have to have a basic understanding of U.S. history and government. So this is the civics portion of the naturalization requirement. There is a test that will be given to you. You must be able to answer 6 out of 10 if you get these answers wrong and you fail the test, it's okay. You can actually retake it another time and come back after you've studied more. The materials are online. We'll go over these materials with you in a separate YouTube video and how to best prepare for the civics test. A lot of the information is frankly something you do need to study. Living in the United States for 5 years, you may be able to pass the written English portion without too much studying, but that's not necessarily true with the civics test. Frankly, I've had to study it on behalf of helping my clients, and there's a lot of information being born and raised in the United States that I still didn't know by heart. So I would recommend that you definitely study, be really careful in knowing that there are several correct answers to some of the questions. So for example, what are the 3 branches of government? You can say judicial, you could say the branch where the Supreme Court is. You could say executive, you could say the branch where the US president is. And sometimes these answers will still communicate the right information and will still be deemed as correct. So just note that there are several ways to go about the civics portion. Point 8, you must be a person of good moral character. This is one of the most trickiest prongs in the N400 and the naturalization application. If you have any type of criminal record, it is very, very important you speak to an immigration attorney because you may be opening yourself to possible removal proceedings and having your case referred to immigration court. If you hadn't done anything, you would probably be fine. So you might be raising your hand and calling attention to yourself and your criminal record by not having good moral character at the time you apply for the N400. So please be really careful with this. Any type of, again, arrest or conviction, even if it was expunged or vacated, you should still talk to an immigration attorney so they can fully evaluate your case. And I can't emphasize this enough. The last point is number 9, where you must demonstrate an attachment to the principles and the ideals of the U.S. Constitution. Here, you have to show that you are going to swear to protect the United States and the liberties and principles that this country upholds. That may include even being pulled into a draft. So just note that these promises are not light. These are promises that you may not ever see, you may never be pulled into a draft, but regardless, you must believe in the principles of the U.S. Constitution, and if you don't want to swear by it, you will be denied no matter how perfect your application is to become a U.S. citizen. So those are the basic principles in regards to eligibility. Let's talk about the N400 and how to file it. So you can file the N400 now online. This is a new feature. USCIS is starting to make all their forms available for submission on the internet. Every single application is different. I can't say whether it's better to do it by mail or by computer because, again, this is a new format, but I do highly encourage clients to become familiar with the online portal that USCIS is providing for foreign nationals because it is, in fact, a very new system that will be the future of all USCIS cases. So the N400 you can download here if you do the PDF version, but again, you can file online. It's really important that you know where to file your application. So based on where you live, you will have a different address, and also based on what service you are mailing your N400 by, you'll have a different address. So for example, FedEx, DHL, UPS cannot send to PO boxes, so they have a different address here. USPS has its own address because they can receive mail via post office box. So again, note where you live and note the address. Note that there is a filing fee for the N400. It's currently $640 and there's an $85 biometric fee for a total of $725. Again, at the time of this application, this is the current fee. It could change in the near future, so be sure to go on uscis.gov/N-400 to find out the most current fees for this application. This is probably one of the most common reasons people their applications get returned to them because their fees are just incorrect. Note that there is a pretty good list from USCIS's website in regards to the items that are needed There's a checklist, the instruction for the N400, and enumerates the items that you must submit to complete your N400. Every case is different. So, like I said, if you have any issues demonstrating good moral character, or perhaps the physical presence requirement, and that you were traveling a lot and maybe were not in the United States continuously throughout the 5 years that are required, then you might have to show your exits and entries and make a chart demonstrating that you were in fact here for 30 months. Every case is different, so the evidence required might be really different for you. This is important if your case is complicated, that you talk to an immigration attorney, again, especially if you have a criminal record, to ensure that you're not putting yourself at any risk or wasting your money even in filing the N400. There is special instructions in regards to N400. A lot of these items have to do with having a lost card, in regards to biometrics, based on the photographs needed to submit. So make sure, again, you read the special instructions because they may or may not apply to you. One of the most important things with the N400 is that you also check the edition date. On the bottom of the PDF, you'll see a date for whether the form is current or not. So the bottom of the N400 right now will show the N9/17/2019 edition. You can file only this application. If you file an older edition, or if you file an edition that maybe was released and then retracted, you will basically be wasting your time because that form is not going to be accepted. So be sure to check, again, the edition date. Be sure to make sure you're following the instructions, such as printing on single-sided paper, signing in blue or black ink only, actually signing a document, not signing it, making a copy, and then sending the copied signature. You're sending it to the right location, you're sending it to the most up-to-date fees that are enumerated on the website, and you're in fact actually eligible for this benefit. If you have any questions regarding the substance of this video, let us know, leave us a comment, like and subscribe, and let us know what other topics you'd like to hear from us. Thanks.